As returning officer, that 359 ballots were cast, no spoiled ballots, that the vote in favour of having confidence in Boris Johnson as leader was 211 votes, and the vote against was 148 votes. And therefore, I can announce that the Parliamentary Party does have confidence.
Let's go to Vince Cable. Vince, I mean, I would say 148 of his own MPs voting against him. That's not a good night for Boris Johnson, surely.
No, it's not a good night, except he has survived, and we know that this, very unlike the Theresa May dissidents, who were united, knew what they wanted, and were very organised and committed. His opponents in his own party are very fragmented. There's no clear alternative. So he has survived, and I would expect he will continue to survive. It may be bad news for the country. I think it's good news for Keir Starmer and Ed Davey. I mean, they've now got a weak
so much to go at,
they've
right?
got a wounded opponent now.
I mean, Ed Davey's emerging as the sort of knight in shining armour of British politics, isn't he? The only untouchable. He's not been tarnished by Partygate at all.
Well, indeed, yeah. I mean,
Isabel, give me a snapshot reaction to this result.
I think it's the worst possible result, actually, for the Conservative Party, certainly for the country. A great result for the Labour Party, because this agony will go on and on and on. Any idea that this has somehow put the issue to bed is absolutely for the birds. Think of all those people that have publicly come out today within the Tory party for the first time, blistering letters of no confidence. You can't take that away. They've put it in writing. That's not going to suddenly kind of evaporate because there's been some kind of consensus. There isn't a consensus here. It's just a majority, and not a good one at that.
Grace, you know, it's...
Like, you obviously do support the Prime Minister. You can't be very happy with these numbers, are you?
Well, I think I said beforehand that I thought that anything more than 210 would be a solid result. 211 is obviously in line with that. It's a majority. The party rules say that in order to replace a leader, you need a majority voting to have no confidence. Instead, it's a clear majority saying that they have confidence in Boris Johnson to remain leader of the Conservative Party, and now he does need to get back to focusing on those important issues facing the country and the world at the moment.
It's a pretty whopping number, though. It's well over a third, higher than most people expected. The party were saying this morning they wanted to keep it under 100 rebels. They haven't managed that by a long shot. How on earth is Boris Johnson going to bring people back together now?
Well, Kate, you were here at the time of the last leadership election. You remember on that fifth ballot when it was blindingly obvious that Boris Johnson was going to be in the final two. He still only got 51% of Conservative MPs. He got 160 Conservative MPs voting for him in that fifth ballot at a time when he was clearly going to be in the final two. So he's built, there's a further 51 who've supported him tonight.
But
on
that's
top
not
of the
a great
numbers that
record,
backed
is
him
it?
in the
If the
leadership
Prime Minister
election.
says that he's had a good pandemic, he's made all the big calls right, it's not really great to only have added that number of MPs, and when over a third of your own party still think he's the wrong man for the job.
Well, no, I think it's clearly over half have voted that they want him to remain as leader of the Conservative Party and as Prime Minister. There are really big issues facing the country at the moment that go well beyond some of the issues that have obviously been raised over the last few weeks. We need the Prime Minister to be supporting people with the cost of living, as he has been doing. We need him to be continuing to lead the Western world in resisting Russian aggression in Ukraine, and we need him to be focusing on helping our businesses, our schools and our NHS to rebuild after the COVID pandemic. That's the important work. All the things that we were elected to do in December 2019, we need to build on that progress, remind people why they voted for a Conservative government with a clear majority, and I know that Boris Johnson is the best leader of the Conservative Party to deliver on that and the best person to lead the country going forward.
Mike Wood, thank you very much. There you go, Piers. That's the argument of Conservative MPs tonight. Mike Wood at PPS there. Now, producer Victoria is just going to nip in and get Anne-Marie Trevelyan, who is the Trade Secretary, mic'd up. So if you want to have a quick chat to her, because what's really interesting now is this number of MPs, this scale that was above what the party was really hoping to see, 148. That means that the next couple of days and the next couple of weeks are going to be really difficult for the Prime Minister. We saw a hint of that today. He was talking in the 1922 committee about a potential announcement on tax cuts, about focusing on policy going forward. But I think things are going to get very difficult for him now. And Anne-Marie Trevelyan joins us here. Anne-Marie Trevelyan, you are the Trade Secretary. You're in Boris Johnson's cabinet. How does it feel tonight to know that many of your own MPs don't support him?
So I'm glad that we are the other side of the vote. I know that the Prime Minister spent all day listening to those colleagues who had those concerns, and he will have heard from them where those areas of policy were that they feel he needs to focus on. And as you say, there are some really big areas of policy that we want to drive forwards, both in the energy revolution, infrastructure investment, really importantly tackling the cost of living crisis and making sure that we bring forward policies that make a difference to all our constituents day in, day out. There is so much to do. Obviously, we were elected on a very broad manifesto in 2019, the challenges of COVID and the emergency situation that we had to deal with, and the Prime Minister led not only the UK in delivering a vaccine, but the world in finding solutions, demonstrating that he has that incredible capacity to push through in really hard situations.